The Daring Woods, also known as Screaming Woods, are situated in Kent, between the villages of Smarden and Plucky. They are reputed to be the most haunted woods in Britain, and they were given their name because of the many reports of people hearing terrifying screams coming from the forest at night or footsteps and whispers during days of fog. The forest is said to be haunted by the ghosts of the people who get lost in them. In particular, the locals mention a suicidal army of colonel of the 18th century and a highwayman who was captured by the villagers, pinned to a tree and beheaded. Many from the nearby villages swear to have seen black shadows following them while they were traveling across the forest. The wood is also famous for presenting one of the oldest Neolithic sites in the world. Scientific research. British physicist B. Josephson has studied the phenomenon for years during his research at Cavendish Laboratory for the Mind-Matter Unification Project, documenting everything in the peer-reviewed paper Quantitative Measurement of Decoherence, a link between consciousness and group-theoretic characterization of hyperplanes of existence. In a recent interview, he criticized the skeptic approach of many scientists. The trouble is that the scientific community is not aware of these results because very little of this work is published in journals like Nature and Science, and the work is often ridiculed when it is published in respectable physics journals. He cites the example of a paper on quantum mechanics by Henry Stapp of the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory that contained a reference to parapsychology. Physicists have an emotional response when they hear anything connected with parapsychology, he says. Their opinion of parapsychology research is not based on evaluation of the evidence, but on the dogmatic belief that all research in this field is false. The Daringwood Massacre. The woodland has been the center of attention for this phenomenon for many years. On the morning of November 1st, 1948, 20 people from the Maltmans area were found dead, 11 of whom were children. The bodies were forming a massive pile of human flesh, and they didn't present any wound. Many reported seeing strange lights coming from the forest on the night of Halloween when the massacre took place. The autopsies couldn't determine the cause of death, and after a few weeks, the local authorities quickly ended the investigation, stating that the cause was carbon monoxide poisoning. This behavior raised questions about a possible involvement of the police in the matter at the time. In 1964, private investigator Robert Collins conducted in-depth witness interviews designed to uncover hints about the alleged activity of an unknown religious cult in the village of Smarden. His research stopped after he died in a tragic car accident the following year. The Daringwood was home for another mystery when on October 1998, on the same night of 50 years before, 4 college students who were visiting the forest went missing after people from Plucky reported seeing figures of light similar to spiderwebs in the sky. Their bodies were never found, and after 3 weeks, the police investigation stopped. What I'm about to tell you, you won't find it on any news outlet. It's not in the newspaper. It's not on any blog site, and for good reason. The government made sure that no trace of this event remained. But I remember. Fuck, how could I forget? I was a policeman back then. We were called to a warehouse on the outskirts of, well, I won't say where. It was a dark, stormy night, and we all knew the situation was bad. Kidnapping, hostage situation. We just didn't know who organized it. It was worse than anything we had dealt with before. We arrived outside the warehouse. 5 patrol cars were already parked, and about 20 guys had their guns pointed at the building, while another guy tried to negotiate using a megaphone. We had been instructed to go inside and try to rescue the hostages. We split into 3 groups. Of course, I got told to search the basement of the warehouse with 5 other cops. What we saw, Jesus Christ, Horrifying doesn't even begin to cover it. Nearly 200 people, gagged and bound to chairs, being forced to watch a video on a screen like some sort of demented school assembly. And the video, God, I don't even want to describe it, but I'll try. It kept flashing this image of a man strapped into some kind of torture mask. His mouth was held open by metal hooks, as were his eyes. There was this horrible droning sound coming from the speakers, coupled with the flashing images. I wanted to be sick. By the corner of the room, there were two figures. One was playing a grand piano. The other was slowly dancing like a ballerina. They were mostly shrouded in darkness. I couldn't see their faces, but clearly these were the sick fucks who had orchestrated this. Maybe it was fear, but I just had this feeling that something was wrong with these figures. Their fingers were too long, their backs were too hunched, their limbs were too spindly. I just aimed my gun and started firing, and then the rest of my group joined in. We shot at the two figures in the corner until our magazines were empty. When the smoke cleared, they were nowhere to be found. Next, we shot the projector and speakers to stop the video and sound. The leader of our group started to untie one of the hostages. Her skin was pale, and according to our leader, stone cold. Her eyes were bloodshot and crusted vomit stained the edges of her mouth. She didn't respond to any of our questions, didn't even flinch when one of our group fired his gun in the air. That video had done something to her. We checked another hostage, and another. They had all been traumatized, and in the same way. Our leader said, and I remember exactly what he said, "They can't be saved, Johnson. Reload your gun." Then we did it. We fucking shot every single one of them, right there on the spot. All 200 of them. At the time it felt good, like we were setting them free. Maybe it was the right thing to do, but it haunts me. We told our sergeant that they were dead when we found them. He fucking believed us. Then the haunting started. All 5 members of our group experienced the same thing. We'd hear a male voice speaking right behind us. It was hard to tell what they were saying. Sometimes it was laughter. Sometimes it sounded like they cursed under their breath. But when we turned around to see what it was, nothing was there. We all thought it was just some kind of trauma from what had happened, or guilt playing with our subconscious. But we didn't tell anyone. We couldn't risk the truth getting out. Then the haunting got worse. Books would fall off shelves while we weren't around. My dog growled at me and almost tried to bite me. I considered taking him to animal therapy before I realized he was staring behind me. When I went to sleep, I'd hear gunshots and the muffled voices of my teammates. Then one day, I stayed home from work. I'd been feeling sick for the past couple days, no doubt related to the incident. The next day I came into work, and clearly something had happened. I asked my friend Anthony. What he said chilled me to the bone. Apparently, my other 4 teammates went out on patrol, but their car veered off the side of the road. When emergency services arrived, they said each man had been killed in a grisly way. One had a power drill embedded in his jaw. One had been eviscerated, seemingly from the inside. One was found with his head facing backwards, and the last one was found in a catatonic state. I knew what that meant. He had been traumatized, just like the hostages we killed. The most horrific part was that I was supposed to be in that car. It was the hostages, or at least their ghosts. It had to be. I knew I had to make amends, or apologize to the spirits, or whatever bullshit you find in the ghost stories. I went to the warehouse, late at night. I went down into the basement, exactly how we left it. 200 empty chairs, blood covering the floors. I brought a can of gasoline and I burned that warehouse to the ground. The haunting stopped after that night. That was about 7 years ago. Now you know what happened. I'm just saying, I think it's kind of fucked up, I said, my arms crossed. Blair chuckled and looked me right in the eye. It's been, 10 days now? I think this is the best we're gonna manage. I scoffed. This? I motioned behind her. She looked back and walked over to the dining room table. Blair's cramped apartment was dimly lit with an assortment of old, multicolored candles. The only sounds were the hum of the AC and the cars passing outside. She shrugged at me and sat down in one of the 2 chairs. I reluctantly walked over and rolled my eyes, sitting down opposite her. If you thought it was so fucked up, she smirked at me from across the table. Then why did you come in the first place? Fine, let's just get this over with. We both reached out and placed the tips of our fingers on the planchet in the middle of the Ouija board. It felt like it was in poor taste, but I knew Blair was lonely in that apartment. If this was the kind of comfort she wanted, I might as well be supportive however I could. Are you with us, Megan? Blair asked aloud, and our hands remained stationary. After a moment, the planchet seemed to be pulled from my hands. I figured it was Blair doing it, just so she could write things off and find some kind of closure. Of course, the piece of plastic hovered over, yes. What happened to you? Blair asked. I frowned, not liking how forward she was being. You don't have someone's salary, I figured, so you ought not to ask something like that. The planchet moved again, tugged away from me. I frowned harder, worried what morbid things Blair was thinking. Blair read each letter aloud as it shifted. B-A-T. She paused. Like a baseball bat. Yes. She didn't seem fazed by this. It was out of my hands, though. Where are you now? She asked. W-H-O. Blair said. Who? I asked. 5. Blair read. 5? I asked, puzzled. 8, 7, 5. What does that mean? I asked. I don't know, Blair said. A heavy silence permeated the apartment while we sat there, our fingertips on the planchet, its open space centered on 5. I don't want to do this anymore, I said. She looked at me, her face more slack than when I had first arrived. She tightened up her expression with a wry smile. Too scary for you? No, I demanded. I just think it's disrespectful. Half an hour later, I had calmed down, and we were sitting on our couch with the floor's lamp bright glow illuminating the room. We were watching something on TV when a knock came at the door. Blair went to answer it, and she found Josh standing there. He didn't come. He's a big guy, but he's pretty meek around other girls. You would think just by looks that he would be a sex bomb. Not even close. We've been friends for a while, so he's more open with me. But with most women, he's as quiet as a mouse. I gathered my things and followed him out the door. Blair gave me a concerned look as I went. She was alone in the apartment. I had figured that the Ouija board was just an excuse to get someone to spend time with her in the light of recent events. Don't worry, I said. You'll be fine. She smiled thinly and waved goodbye. Josh drove me back to my place. I didn't have a car, because my dad said I didn't need one my first year of college. I had protested, but he said it was only right that we kids learn about the value of public transport in big college cities. In reality, it just meant I relied on other people like Josh for rides. We pulled up to my dorm, and he put it in park. He looked across the car at me. "There's something I've been wanting to tell you," he said. I froze up. The last thing I needed was another person trying to emotionally rely on me after all of this. "Can you tell me tomorrow?" I asked. "I'm really tired. I need to get some sleep." I motioned at the building to my right. "I'm pretty emotionally drained. I don't know how much more I can handle." Blair used her occult shit to cope, and I worried that Josh was going to use affection. We had been close since high school, but it was always platonic. I didn't want anything besides that. He sighed, looking sad. "Yeah, I can talk tomorrow. You want to go out lunch or something?" The next day was Sunday, which meant I would have a good bit of free time. I laughed tiredly. "That sounds great. You sure you can wait?" "Yeah," he nodded, smiling with a hint of sadness in his voice. "Yeah, I can wait." "Sleep tight tonight, okay?" I popped open the passenger side door and hopped out. Closing the door, I waved him off, and he sped out of the parking lot. As he went, I noticed something about Josh's car that I had never seen before. The plate on the back read, "Who, 5875. E and K." I'm the maker of over 23 snuff films. I shit you not. Now, I have been robbed of my youth, and I almost feel guilty for all the terrible things I have done. But then, I remember just how profitable this business was, and I regret nothing. You'd be surprised at how many people want the tapes that I used to make. All kinds of people too, young and old, fair and ugly, short and tall, male and female. I guess that some people just have an animalistic side that they have to feed. In many of the movies, I was the man who was committing these dreadful deeds. I had a whole crew to back me up, and most of the time, it was somebody else who was slowly cutting off the appendages of a middle-aged female we had managed to abduct, or severing the testicles of a little boy who was never seen again. But sometimes, I just couldn't resist getting my hands dirty. The process just looked so interesting. All of what I had was spent far too quickly. I lived a briefly amazing life of drugs and prostitution before it all ran out. I was both a sex addict and a heroin addict, and I was desperate to keep engaging in these activities, even as I lost my money. As of today, the only things I possessed are this camera and the knife in my jacket pocket, with which I have made so many quality films. I know that now, it is my time to make a final motion picture, and once again, I am the star. Setting up the camcorder doesn't take long. I just put it down atop one of the many dumpsters in this alleyway, and before I know it, I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder. I backed up, making sure I'm in the shot, before taking the knife out of my pocket. It really is a beautiful thing. It's an Italian stiletto-style switchblade with a custom buck handle and a bayonet blade. I've used it plenty of times before, and today, I'll use it for the last time. I push the release button, and 5 inches of chromed steel slide out with a satisfying click. I step forward and press the red button for the last time before lowering the blade to my wrists. I keep having the same dream every night. It's a reoccurring nightmare that I just can't seem to push out of my head. At about 4 in the morning, I always wake up drenched in a cold sweat. Sometimes I'm screaming, but as hard as I try, I can never seem to remember exactly what it was I was dreaming about. All I can recall are the smallest details, the emotion of dread, the feeling of a jerk in my stomach, and gripping something in front of me very tightly in the dream before I awaken. I think it might be some kind of a warning, a premonition of something that is to go terribly wrong. But what? What could it possibly be? Paranoia has taken over my mind and body. Everywhere I go, I live in constant fear that someone or something is hunting me down. This tension reaches a peak one day when I'm driving home from work. I noticed that the car behind me took the same turn as I did. Initially thinking that we must be going in the same direction, I did nothing. Then we made the same turn again and again. I felt the fear well up from deep within, and I began to accelerate. When we made the same turn once more, I began to drive 10 to 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, constantly looking behind me and at the rearview mirror. It was too late to see the little kid on the bike as he swerved in front of my car. When I slammed on the brakes, I felt a sudden jerk in my stomach, and my hand grips the steering column tightly as the kid takes a full body hit to my car and makes it partially under the first set of tires.